Chris, what's been your experience or so far with this, or have you messed around with it much?
Yeah, so I mean, I've messed around with it a little bit. I have noticed that because it was always weird to us that Discord integration came to Xbox first, despite the fact that Sony's actually like invested in them. We always thought that was weird, and I still think the linking to Discord voice channels on PlayStation 5 specifically is a little bit less elegant than it is over on Series X. It's a little bit more because you have to like open up the app on your phone and then kind of join from it'll give you the option to join from PS5. Whereas on the Xbox, it's kind of just like on the dashboard. It's like you don't really need to do anything like that. So I do wish it was a little bit more seamless. But the fact that it's possible at all is, again, like this is a massive, in my opinion, this is like a massive deal. Like for me and like for friends of mine, and just knowing that we can all finally play these cross-platform games without there being some massive annoying caveat of, oh yeah, we're here and we can't talk to each other, but like we're still playing the game together, and like it's like 3 friends are in one console, 2 friends are in another one, and it's just awkward and dumb. Or like maybe we have to use game chat, but then like on PC, game chat's kind of fucky, so it doesn't really work, and then one person's left out. This is a massive deal for me because I can finally get my friends together and actually play the games that we play, like Destiny and any other multi-platform stuff, and it's cool. Like this is fine. This is just like there's no barrier at all now, outside of just the obvious ones, which is like exclusive games or whatever. But we're finally in this true cross-platform era. I think now that Discord is just natively available on every single platform except for Switch, because who cares? But
yeah, I was gonna say the whole phone thing reminds me of how Switch didn't you have to have like a phone and use a phone?
Yeah,
to, like,
yeah.
use voice chat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had to use it from the app on your phone, and that was that was their voice chat solution.
So
Jesus
weird.
Christ.
Dustin, my friend, what do you think?
Yeah, a lot of good stuff here. Particularly, I know that the 1440p monitor users really wanted that VRR support because they have the hardware to do it, but the console system wouldn't let them. So giving them that option is great. Let me tell you, not having to plug in the DualSense to update it, love that. Yeah. As someone who's chronically lazy, I skip those updates for sometimes weeks at a time just because it's working just fine. I don't what does this update really do? And then eventually I would do it. So doing that over the air is nice. And then shout out, of course, I know this is not totally new, but the ability to have screenshots and then send them to your phone for easy posting. I know that you can post directly to Twitter or whatever directly from the console, but then you have to type it out.
It's annoying.
It sucks. And let me tell you, Nintendo's solution for this is so fucking stupid. And it just makes me think about the difference. For Switch, I know some of you have done this. If you want to share a screenshot and you want to just get it over to your phone and you don't want to post directly, you have to scan a QR code on your Switch and it creates its own Wi-Fi network that your phone connects to. So then you can go in the web browser and download the image.
That
and then
is
you have to
insane.
Dude, it's so stupid.
That is actually psychotic.
Yes. Yeah.
Who the fuck thought of that?
Dude, I don't.
That sounds hard. That sounds harder to do than like not even just like from the user perspective. That sounds harder to program from a back end perspective than just the better way.
Right. Well, I think that it eliminates them from needing back end servers to hold all these images and videos, just because it's going directly from your Switch to your phone. So Sony's willing to, and Xbox, I believe, has a similar way of doing it, but I love that feature because I just don't want to type it on my console. Everyone wants to do it from their phone, or they just want to send it in iMessage or something like that. So yeah, I like to see that compatibility for sure.
It's cool to finally see some parity developing in functionality between the consoles and between PC, but Sony has such a far way to go, I think, to bring a true I think they can make PlayStation Network with just a few more bells and whistles into something like a place you go or are. Let's say a place you are.
Right.
Because I don't think I don't feel like you ever are on PlayStation Network. What is it that's about? I'm so impressed with Steam. I'm so impressed when I use it and when I mess around with it. I'm in Steam pretty often, particularly looking at game objects, because every game goes into its own forum. Every game goes into its own game help shit and all this. It's like, it's dope. And so you can find I'm playing Grim Guardians right now, which was recently renamed. I don't know if you saw that, Gal Guardians, because NT Creates got a notice that there was a game called Grimguard, and I actually went and looked it up, and yeah, there it was. It's a game out of New Zealand called Grimguard, and it does indeed have a trademark here in the United States. So I don't know how the fuck why they didn't look up that. No one did their due diligence there, but they have to go and rename this game. But I'm playing it, and PSN Profiles is not very useful for it. The really useful spot for this game in terms of understanding anything, including a shit ton of stuff in Japanese, which you can then natively translate inside Steam, is the Steam forum. Fucking all these documents, all these maps. Imagine having that for all of these games on PlayStation. Imagine having a forum on PlayStation. I would love to see that level of deep diving. It would be good for every game. And you can even let people, and I'm sure a lot of publishers would be very eager to, in fact, moderate these communities. Spotlight good users and spotlight good reviews and all these different things. They have a long way to go. But it's cool that they're developing some parity. Dustin, please.
Colin, I saw maybe you saw this in the write-up, or I don't even know if it was in the write-up. It's a really interesting thing that I didn't even know, that there was something about now that if let's say you have a disc version of a game or something, and you had the digital license, those weren't compatible or something like that.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, that's now more, I don't know, there's some kind of parity where if you have one or the other, it will play just fine.
Right. Yeah, that's
or I guess it would be if you have the disc and then you buy the digital version later, that it will just unlock. You don't need to re-download it.
Right. I think that if you have the disc, then it'll unlock the digital version seamlessly, is how I read it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to think what the scenario would be like if you borrow a game from a friend. Like, let's say you borrow GT7, you play it and you like it. You give your friend the disc back, and then you decide to buy the digital version. You would have the old ways. You'd have to re-download it. You can't just like use the key from buying it to unlock it. It had to be a separate thing. But now, if you go and buy the digital version and you have it installed, it will just work the way you would expect it to. I didn't even know that was a thing. I've never been in that situation. But
me neither. Yeah. Shout out to Sony for that. Okay, cool. Big firmware update. No people are excited. We'll see what functionality comes to PlayStation Network as we move forward. But I would just love to see more love given to individual games. Let's really start to bust out and really start to like get going with these different, like give a game a lot of panache. When you go to a game, every game, when you go to a game, it tells you everything and it keeps you there and it fulfills whatever intrigue or obligation you feel like it needs. And it requires a lot of input from developers and publishers because they're going to have to manage that on their end, but they just don't seem to mind that on Steam. So why would they mind that on PlayStation Network? No one is complaining that I don't want my Steam game to have a fucking forum. Like, who says that? I don't want my Steam game to have game help. It just seems like an obvious thing. Let's make it happen. That'd be sweet. I'd probably spend more money too, and I bet you a lot of people spend a lot more money because of that stuff on Steam.